This is just going to be 12 hours long because it's just for beginner programmers. It's nothing too serious. So our hackathon will start in the morning around, and then in the morning we'll have an opening ceremony, and we'll generally have a keynote speaker who's going to be a woman in tech, and she'll be explaining her experience and what it's like to be a woman in tech, and you guys can ask her questions. And then after the ceremonies, we'll have a hackathon. And during the hackathon, we're going to have some activities that you guys can all participate in. If you ever get, like tired and you need like a break, we'll have a bunch of stuff to do during the day. And during the day, you guys will code in your teams. But then once the submission closes, we'll have a half-an-hour grace period. And then you can go and submit your project. After you submit your project, we will judge for a bit, and then we'll have the closing ceremonies, and then we'll have another speaker come. And same way as the beginning, you can ask your questions about her experiences and what it's like to be a woman in tech. And then we're going to talk about the winning projects. So the winners will get prizes, and they can showcase what they've done. And just a reminder, you do not have to have a finished, complete project once you guys are done. You just have to have a working prototype. And it doesn't even have to be like fully functional, just anything just to show what you guys are thinking.
So now we're going to be talking about the project expectations and what to expect in this hackathon. So there's going to be some judging criteria based on what the judges are going to judge you on. And the top 3 prizes will be judged on a well-thought idea, which shows how good of the use of time you used during the whole event. And it has to be creative, it has to be unique, and it shows that you worked really hard for this, and has to be, something that you thought of. And has to be a prototype that has a basic structure. And all participants will submit a description and the code they have, which we'll talk about later. We'll use a platform called DevPost, which someone will talk about later, one of us. And yeah, so one thing I want to stress about is do not stress about this too much. It's 12 hours. It seems like a lot of time, but based on my personal experience, hackathons usually get sometimes really stressful. So I definitely recommend going to those, fun activities to take a break, but also just have fun. And it's a learning experience, especially these workshops too. Just learn, have fun, and especially during the duration of the hackathon, just have fun and don't stress about it. And do not worry if your project is not done, because I've been to many hackathons before and my project was definitely not done. Like Noah said, it was not really functional. So if you have a well-thought idea, like I said, that shows good use of the time you used, then you're all set.
Another thing that I would also want to add there is that we're going to have mentors around the entire day to help you with your project, answer any programming questions you have. So really don't get stressed out. It's going to be super fun and you're going to learn a lot.
Okay, now on to project ideation. And this is probably the most important part of a hackathon, coming up with your idea. And often it is hard to come up with an idea. So we have a few different ways that you can find an idea. But one thing we want to say is that you are not allowed to use pre-existing code in your project, but you are allowed to come in with ideas. So we don't want you taking a project you've already worked on and continuing it during the hackathon. The whole point of a hackathon is to innovate, and that means coming up with new ideas, either before or during. So here are a few different resources. You can use the Wolfram Language Hackathon Project Generator, which is a pretty cool one. It has a lot of wacky ideas, but you can also use the web as a resource. Just make sure you find something that's within your comfort level and you know that you can make it, but you want to be really creative. So don't do something that a lot of people have done. Make something new. And brainstorm ideas within general topics. So some big areas you can think about might be health, education, communication, connectivity, especially how do we stay connected during COVID-19. And also gaming, that's a big one. A lot of video games are made with programming. I'm sure you all know that. And think about your favorite subjects. You can probably make a project out of them. It is possible. Even if you're interested in, languages, think about how you can make a project out of that. Do something you love so you're not bored the whole time.
So the next thing that we thought would be important to talk about is how to submit your project. To host our hackathon, we're using this really popular hackathon hosting site that some of you may have heard of before. It's called DevPost. And it's pretty simple to use. All you have to do is click on our hackathon link. It'll take you straight to DevPost. You have to create an account in order to submit, and they'll make you answer like a couple questions about what your project is, why did you think of it, such and such. But only one team member has to do this if you're part of a team. And DevPost is going to be open for submissions at 5 p.m. on the day of.
All right, so our hackathon's pretty straightforward. I know it's the first hackathon for a lot of you, so it might be a really confusing time, but we don't have many rules to follow, except for the fact, obviously, you can't bring in a pre-existing project. And then this is kind of a given, but like, please don't say anything, derogatory, don't use profane or sexual language. It's really obvious, and I know that you guys probably won't do this. Unfortunately, if you do this, we have a zero tolerance policy, so if you end up having to do like this or reporting it, then we will have to expel you. This obviously probably won't be a problem. I really hope that it won't be, but if it is, I'm really sorry. We are gonna have to expel you. But other than that, our hackathon rules are like really simple. Like you don't have to like stress about anything.
So now we're going to be talking about how to use Slack, which is a communication platform, which we'll be using during the duration of the hackathon. So what is Slack? So Slack is a communication service that allows users, such as you guys, to post comments and channels. So this is a very cool platform that I've also used in the past. And we'll be using Slack to post announcements, such as, what the next event will be. Like, let's say we're doing a cool competition to win prizes. We'll use that. Post Zoom links to, for you guys to get on the Zoom account and then, join the meeting. And connecting participants to mentors, like I think Sakshi said before, that if you guys have any questions, we have really experienced mentors who are always available to help, so we can connect you guys to them. So if you have a coding problem or or trying to brainstorm ideas, you can definitely reach out to one of us or the mentors, and we can connect you to them. And we'll also create channels for teams. So the really cool thing with Slack is that in your private teams, you guys can video chat on Slack, and you guys can text and message each other constantly during the duration of the hackathon.
So Slack might seem a little confusing when you first enter, but it's actually pretty simple to use. So first of all, it is mandatory to join Slack. We really need you to join. It's so much easier for us to communicate with you and to give you announcements than sending out emails like every hour. So we really need you to join Slack. We have a link on this slide that we will share with everyone. And you can use this link to create an account, and you'll join our workspace, the NewtonHACKS workspace. And you'll be able to connect with all of us, ask questions and other stuff. So you'll have to create an account by entering your email, and then you have to make a password, the simple stuff. But we really need you to join Slack. So if you want to do it now, if you're joining any other workshops, if you join earlier, you can ask questions to the workshop leaders over Slack. So if you want to join soon, that'd be really good. And on the right over here, this is the bar you will see in Slack on the left. And these are just a few different things I'm going to go over. First, there's mentions and reactions, so you can view messages that your name has been mentioned in, and this makes it easier for you to find out what messages you should be looking at. There's also apps, so you can access apps that are linked to your account. For example, that might be Google Drive, or we might link Zoom. And then finally, we have channels, which is the main feature of Slack, and this is where all the messaging will happen. So that's for announcements, you can ask questions, you can connect with the workshops you're in, and you can also request mentors. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our Q&A session. And the way this is going to work is that you guys can put in your questions into the chat, and then we'll choose some questions to go over with.
Also, to add on, you guys will get the slides after the meeting ends, because there's lots of important links on this, like to join Slack to make an account on DevPost. So you guys will get this at the end.
And if you come up with any questions after this is over, just don't hesitate to shoot us an email or contact us.
Okay, so the way this is going to work is that I'll give some questions and we're going to run this like a panel almost. So I'm going to ask the question, then Sakshi, Noah, or Shia will answer the question. And if you have any more questions about it, just send in the chat and then we'll go over them. Okay.
Also, if you're not feeling the chat, you can say it in the Zoom too. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's totally fine too. Okay, so first one, will the Slack link be emailed or put in the chat?
Yeah, like I said, you guys will get the slides at the end, and we can also email to you. But yeah, you guys will get that. It's pretty important.
Everything that you need to have for the hackathon we'll send to you to make sure that everyone can get it before the day. So don't worry.
All right, next question. Can you do the hackathon project in any coding language? Because some people know different languages. How does that work?
Yeah, whatever you're feeling. It really, we don't have any guidelines on that at all.
You guys are all like beginner programmers, so we understand that this is a little confusing, and everyone's first hackathon should be an easy transition into later coding experiences. So whatever language you guys feel like doing, just don't hesitate, just do it. We'll be fine with anything.
We want to see your best work. That's what we're looking for. All right, next question. Are we creating the entire project during the hackathon or before?
So like Preeti said before, you're not allowed to use any pre-existing code for your project in the hackathon. So you will create all of the code the day of. But that being said, you are more than welcome to learn like new skills in programming beforehand so that you'll be like in the best shape possible for the hackathon.
Yeah, to add on to that, you know, all these workshops leading up to the hackathon are for you guys to learn. So just like, you know, do whatever you can, take notes and just like learn how to use this code. Like, you know, we're learning about Python in a future workshop and Java. So you guys can use that code for knowledge, but not for the hackathon. But you can think of ideas before the hackathon.
Also, don't hesitate to use your resources. If you guys are ever stuck, like the internet is your friend. As long as you don't steal code, just like you can, if you need help from anything, just don't hesitate to either reach out to us or look up the answer.
Our next question. What types of questions can you ask mentors?
Literally anything, because they're here to help you. And for like, let's say you have an error in your code and you can't try to figure out what the bug is, you can shoot them a message and we can connect them to you. And you guys can talk about what's the problem with the code. You can ask them if you have like a problem with trying to think of an idea, they can give you some help. Anything really.
Yeah, there's no such thing as too many questions. The mentors are here to help you.
What if I have a question that does not have to do with my project, but has to do with like logistical stuff? Like, when is the next fun activity happening? Who do I ask?
So if it's before the hackathon, just feel free to shoot us an email. We'll like respond as soon as possible, which is usually pretty fast. You can DM us on Instagram, literally find any way to contact us. We'll definitely get back to you. And if it's on the day of the hackathon, you could probably do the same thing, or you can just ask us in a meeting if we're having like an open meeting session, or just, you know, chat with us in the Zoom.
Yeah, Slack, you guys can ask us, you know, logistical questions. Yeah.
What types of projects can I work on? Is there a minimum to what code I need to have?
So I think, like we said before, you can really work on anything as long as it doesn't like violate our guidelines. And I don't think there's a minimum to the code you need to have, as long as, like what Noah said before, it has to be a working prototype and it has to like make a little bit of sense in like the state of your project. Like it has to be presentable.
Yeah, there's no minimum. Yeah, like Sakshi said, just it doesn't have to be fully functional. It can't be 100% functional. If it is, that's great. But, you know, it has to make sense. It has to, you know, kind of like conquer a problem in our society, I guess. So, yeah.
That being said, it can also be something fun. We've
Yeah.
also seen
Yeah,
a lot of fun projects.
Yeah, gaming. I've seen lots of gaming projects and hackathons.
Yeah.
Which are also very unique and creative.
What interface can we use to do these projects on?
By interface, like, do you mean like
a platform to make our
Oh.
project?
You can use anything, whatever works for you.
Yeah, whatever works. You can use GitHub, or like GitHub is really helpful. That's what we normally do when we team up to do a hackathon, but really anything that works for you guys. You guys, like, this is your day, so do whatever you want.
Wait, is it for just like coding, right? Is that the question?
Coding, yeah.
Some platforms I would recommend is rebel.it, Rebel.it. It's a very, very famous platform, which I used to in school, and just in general, you guys might have heard of it. Rebel.it is pretty good. If you download prior to the event, or during the event, doesn't really matter. I think prior to the event would be better. You guys can download Python if you are doing coding in Python. There's also one platform called Django, which I think you can code any language on.
Another really, really good platform that I've used multiple times is Sublime Text, and it's really good if you're doing just like server projects. So I would suggest looking into that.
Yeah, and if you have a Mac and you're interested in doing Swift, Xcode works. We do that in school.
Yeah, I hope we answered your question right, if that's what you meant by interfaces. So
Yeah, if that works. If that's the
Along-
correct answer, just text us on the chat.
Along with the slides we're going to email you, we can also just like make a, 5 to 10 list of, really good platforms that we've used before.
All right, another question. Are we allowed to use Scratch for our projects?
Yeah,
I don't think
Scratch is amazing.
it's a valid site. A lot of people go on there to code and do their stuff, and I've seen really amazing stuff on Scratch. So I have no doubt that you guys can do great stuff on Scratch as well as you can do with any other platform.
I think for Scratch though, it's a great platform to use, but it just, same thing with all the other projects. It should just like make sense and be somewhat functional.
What might some of the fun activities be on the day of the hackathon?
that's a good question. So we're still we're planning them right now, and something that we have in mind is having like a panel of college students who are in STEM, and you guys get to like ask them questions about like what it's like to major in a STEM field, or even like go further in STEM studies and things like that. But if you guys have suggestions, please reach out to us, because we really want to do what you guys are interested in doing.
Another thing we're considering is, we know a lot of people like love their pets, so we were thinking of just hosting like a Zoom room where you can bring your animal and just like show off. And like, even if you don't have a pet, just like come and see, because I know like we went to Hackathon and they just like had us pet dogs as one of the activities, and we kind of want to simulate that.
And to add on to that, during the college panel, it's also very interesting to just understand how the college process works, because I'm interested in that, and also I'm pretty sure you guys we're all like very confused about this too, how college works and how to apply to that, essays, and also it's also a good time to just take a break from hacking and just learn more about the college process and how to get into STEM. And another event we are thinking of doing, not fully devoted to it, doing it yet, is maybe a Kahoot, where you guys would win really cool prizes, like things like, I can't say the prizes yet, but they're very cool prizes.
Will there be awards or prizes for winning the hackathon?
Yeah, so we have, we're gonna have like your standard first, second, third place, and then we have a few like special awards to give out. So we're gonna give those out too, but yes, there are going to be prizes.
When will we get the schedule for the hackathon?
Probably the week of, or the week leading up to Saturday.
We have a rough draft, but we're still working on like finalizing everything, just making sure everything's gonna run. So
yeah, the schedule that we talked about in the slides, that's just a rough schedule, but those are the most important things, like keynote speakers, opening ceremony, some fun activities, brainstorming, things like that.
And whenever we have anything finalized, we'll post it on social media. So we already announced our keynote speakers if you follow us on Instagram and Facebook. So whenever we have something, we'll just put it up there as soon as we're sure. And you guys can just check that out.
Will there be any breaks during the hackathon, to eat or to just take a break because we're so tired of hacking?
Definitely. We're not expecting you to sit there on your laptop for 12 hours straight and like not eat or do anything. Definitely we're gonna have breaks. Yeah.
I think breaks are the most essential thing you need in a hackathon because you get very tired, especially like in this whole situation, just sitting at your computer for so long takes, full motivation to do this. And I applaud you guys for actually going to this hackathon because it takes time to, actually sit at a computer. But yeah, we'll have lunch breaks, we'll have dinner breaks. Just take a breather whenever you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is your thing. So if you guys ever need to like replenish your sanity, don't hesitate to step away from the computer. If you guys are working with teams, then I'm sure someone can like cover for you for a bit. If you're working solo, then that's also okay. We're okay with everything.
Like no one works a straight like 12.
No one is going to work the full 12 hours. So just keep that in mind. If you ever want to take a break, you are fine.
So is the project concept just anything that solves a problem in today's society, or what is a project concept?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. So I think, trying to solve a problem in today's society is a really good kind of like base idea for a project. And I think like you're heading in the right direction if you're thinking that way. But that's really hard to do if you're a beginner programmer. So like, honestly, anything that you do with your code and anything that you're creative with using programming, we're going to accept. It doesn't have to solve a world problem. It doesn't have to be like that. It can just be like, it can even just be a website about like how your quarantine's been. Something as simple as that, we're going to accept.
Yeah, and specifically, we don't have any stated project concept. We're leaving this very open-ended since we know it's hard to come up with an idea. You might see in other hackathons, there's tracks like education, and feel free to think in those terms, but we do not have a specific project concept.
But also just like anything you're passionate about works, like anything you're interested in is definitely okay.
What types of things have you guys made in code? What projects have you worked on? Maybe in a hackathon, maybe at school?
Yeah, so actually me and Preeti, we went to a hackathon one time. It was for like the whole idea, it wasn't like just like a very diverse like topic like we are doing for this hackathon. It was more focused on just helping visually impaired people, just like, just that was the only topic. And there's so many things you can do within that area. So me and Preeti, we actually did something for how blind people can't really access or, buy tickets for, going to airplanes, like, just traveling in general. So what we did was, Preeti, you can also chip in if you want. But what we did was just like create like an app kind of, or just like a platform sort of, or program that basically just helps visually impaired people, buy tickets, see where like their seating area is, choose where their seating area is, things like that.
Yeah, in our most recent hackathon together, we made a website that would connect you to different charity organizations. So you could pick something that you were passionate about, and we would have like a map about, and it showed all the places that you could like donate or help your community relating to that subject. And I remember the same hackathon we went to, there was like completely arbitrary things. Like I remember one of the projects that won, you just spoke into a microphone and it would let you know like what celebrity you sounded like. Like it's really random, and that's what I love about hackathons. It's anything, and it's like amazing how creative people can get.
It's just about learning and having fun. And I know that's kind of like you probably hear that all the time, but really like these are one of the events that actually live up to the name.
Actually, you want to say any projects you've been working on or you have worked on?
Yeah, sure. I can talk about like the project I did at my first hackathon, which was like a couple years ago. So my team and I, we worked on this website that helps like people with like nutritional allergies and like problems in that area, and we kind of like made them like specific recipes, so like they could research, like search up like blueberry muffins or something, and they would get like different recipes according to their dietary restriction. So that was pretty fun.
What are the, yeah, go ahead.
Also, another project that I've worked on was I did Girls Who Code with Sakshi actually. I think 2 years ago or a year ago, I honestly forget. But we did a on basically like a stress reliever. So it was like helping people who just like have too much stress just go online, and there was like just random bubbles appearing on the screen. I think I coded it in Java, I'm pretty sure. But there's just like random bubbles popping on the screen, so there's like sound to like you pop on the bubbles, which sometimes helps your brain.
And like this was still like very early into our programming, like I don't know, like when we just started. So like you can really do anything even if you don't know a lot.
Yeah, and if you guys are curious about like school projects, this year I think our final project was our class made a game where you like program a tank and it like shoots other tanks, and like the last one standing wins, and you have to like program your tank to come up with like a certain strategy.
And some of these projects aren't even like, conquering, a world like problem. So, it's
Yeah, it's anything. Just have fun.
they're all very fun. It was fun to make. So
What are the other workshops that are being held?
Another really good question. We have, I think, 5 other workshops planned for you guys. The schedule is on our website and all our social media, so if you want to like go back and look. But we have one more tomorrow, and that's like website building 101. So you'll learn HTML, CSS, and then you'll also learn a little bit of JavaScript to learn how to make, websites more interactive and things like that. And then next week, the week after that, we're going to be focusing on Java. So the first day is going to be like an introductory course to Java, and then the next day is going to be like a fun artificial intelligence course with Java. Does anyone want to say the third week? Anyone else?
sorry.
Does anyone else want to chip in for the third week?
Yeah, so then the last week, I believe, the last week, it's face detection with Python. So Python's also another coding language, and we're doing face detection with Python, which is pretty cool. And then the last one, one of our very nice sponsors, they're Echo AR. It's a company, if you guys haven't heard of it. They're building a cloud-connected AR VR app in 15 minutes. So it's very interesting.
It's going to be really cool. So I recommend you check this.
Yeah, I strongly suggest you take these, especially the one tomorrow. That's going to be super useful. Like HTML, CSS, building websites is really, really cool, especially if you don't have a lot of programming experience, but you want to kind of demonstrate what you're thinking of. These are like really good tools, and we suggest you use them because we're going to have experts teaching them. And if you have any questions, it's like more personal, so you can just ask them. It's like a similar layout to this.
Do you recommend that people not sleep during the hackathon?
Do you mean like take a nap? Because it's going to be like during the day.
Or do you recommend that people stay awake the whole time just to finish their project?
I mean, if you want to take a nap, you can go ahead and take a nap. Like, we're not going to stop you. I'll probably take a nap too. But like definitely don't sleep for like 9 out of the 12 hours and have 3 hours to code. Like that would be a bad choice to make.
Yeah, this isn't a 24-hour hackathon. I know some of those, like, people don't sleep. This is like really low stress. If you really want to take a nap, like, no one's stopping you. So,
and this is around, I think 9 a.m. The times aren't official yet, but it's maybe from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So, I mean, if you want to take a nap, go ahead.
I know we have some people from California, and that's 6 a.m. for them, so we understand.
Yeah, and we also have someone who signed up from Australia. I don't know if they're there, but
yeah.
Okay, so it appears we are out of questions. Thank you to everyone who asked questions.